Earlier this week, we tweeted out a poll asking Manhattan area citizens if they've had car trouble or know of anyone having car trouble in the area due to the abundance of potholes around town. 83% of our viewers voted yes, while the remaining 17% voted no. The city's public information officer wants to make it clear that the city is aware of this and on top of it. The city filled only 94 potholes in the last month of January last year, while this year they've already filled over 2,000 and are still going. I took a look into why there are so many more potholes this year than in years past. Hillary Smiley, like many other Manhattan area citizens, have come face to face with the city's abundance of potholes. Smiley says she was driving down Claflin Road when she hit a pothole costing her hundreds of dollars in repairs.
And I said, okay, well, how much is that going to be to fix it? And he was like, it'll be about $700. And as a college student, I don't have $700 on a whim to fix my car.
Heather Seibert also couldn't avoid a pothole on the streets in Manhattan, costing her close to $1,000 in damages.
So it's just kind of frustrating to know that the city was aware. And then now I'm having to pay out of pocket for my car to be repaired. So it's just kind of frustrating that I know it's not just me that this is happening to. So it's just kind of unfortunate that the city didn't really take it seriously.
The city of Manhattan has currently filled over 2,000 potholes this year, and they aren't even close to being done. The city's public information officer says the weather is to blame.
It's 100% the weather. So if the conditions had been nice and we had a mild winter, we wouldn't have seen anything like this. But all across the Midwest, public works departments are just kind of despairing at the number of potholes, and drivers have had a lot to deal with.
Uccello urges citizens to slow down and be aware of the potholes, but also promises that the problem isn't going unnoticed.
It's just these crazy weather conditions with the rain and freeze cycles that they get down in the cracks of the pavement and just create pothole after pothole. And then when we go in after a snow event and plow, the plows often will pop up the patches that we've just done.
The city is fixing the potholes now that the freezing weather temperatures have warmed up a bit. But Smiley is still disappointed it took this long.
It's really upsetting because, we expect the city to take care of its citizens, and part of that is keeping the roads safe for us to drive on.
In Manhattan, Brianne Smith, MHK All Day. What? To report a pothole in Manhattan, you can visit cityofmanhattan.com/reportit or download the Reportit app. I'm here with K-State physics experts Chris Sorensen and Peter Nelson to talk about how potholes are made due to the weather. So can you tell us a little bit about this experiment here and what's going on?
Well, yeah, we want to demonstrate the freeze-thaw cycle that occurs, and that's the reason for potholes. A warm day, maybe 35 degrees, the snow will melt a little bit, the water will seep into a crack in the road, and the crack might be really tiny. But then the interesting thing about water is when it freezes, it expands, and that's a very unusual property. Well, if it expands, it actually pushes against the sides of the crack, makes it a little bit bigger. That's overnight when it freezes, then the next day it doggone melts again, and it scooches further down into the crack. And then overnight it freezes again, and the crack gets bigger and bigger, and after a while, with the roadway traffic and so on, the cracks in the road create potholes. Mm-hmm. Now, what we want to do today, Peter and I, we want to demonstrate. We got some liquid nitrogen here, which is really doggone cold. And we've got a steel bomb. Okay. And believe me, the bomb is the right characteristic description of this. But it's good hard steel, it's very thick. And you say to yourself, well, steel is stronger than water, right? Well, we're going to prove that's wrong.
All right.
So we've got another bomb here that Peter filled before the show. It's completely full of water, no air gaps or anything like that.
Okay.
And we're going to lower it into the liquid nitrogen and freeze it. You might notice we're putting a lot of armament around this demonstration because we don't want to ruin any $20,000 cameras or kill any nice hosts.
Yeah, I hope not.
Here we go. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you do it. I'll just... So you can see as soon as that steel bomb at room temperature got plunged into the liquid nitrogen, was just like 196 degrees below 0 Celsius. Mm-hmm. There's lots of boiling going on. And it's going to take a while for the water to freeze and form completely to ice. And we're just going to see what happens once it forms to ice.
Okay,
Any
so
questions?
yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about, so the potholes in Manhattan, like I said, they filled over 2,000 this year. You think that's fully because of the weather?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, at least 95% of it is. And it's interesting to point out that it's a good thing we have this problem because this is a major feature in surface erosion. It happens in the mountains too. Water melts, slips into the cracks, freezes, and the Rocky Mountains wear down to the plains of Kansas.
So what do you think could be done to maybe prevent this in the future with the roads? I know that they're trying out a new system to prevent it, but what do you think?
You know, if I
they
had
could
a
do?
good idea, I'd file a patent for it before I told you here on national TV. It's a difficult problem, and I think people are working on the mechanical engineers, the civil engineers are trying to solve the problem, but it's been a problem a long time.
Yeah, so they told me that when they're driving to plow the roads, they pull up the old patches. And I thought that was interesting, and they said they're trying to test out. All right, well.
All right. Are we having fun in Manhattan, Kansas, or what?
All right.
Let's see what we have here.
I think that's all we have time for, but that is pretty wild. Wow.
One broken bomb, and it's cold.
Woo, I bet.